Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Jack Webb stars in an episode of Dragnet as we go back 68 years to October 5th, 1954, The Big Handsome Bandit. And we thank you for tuning in on this Wednesday, and you know what that means. This is the 5th day of October, 278th day of 2022, just 87 days left in 2023. Wilbur Wright piloted the Wright Flyer 3 on this date in 1905 in a flight of 24 miles in 39 minutes, a world record that stood until 1908. A 6-month strike by Hollywood set decorators turned into a bloody riot at the gates of Warner Brothers Studios on this date in 1945. The first televised White House address given by President Truman on this date in 1947. In that address, Truman asked Americans to refrain from eating meat on Tuesdays and poultry on Thursdays to help stockpile grain for the starving people in Europe. Yes, that really was a thing. You know, we were told about the starving people in Europe and the starving people overseas. That was no just thing for mom to make you eat. That was really the case back then. Earl Warren, sworn in on this date in 1953 as the 14th Chief Justice of the U.S. Dinah Shore Show for Chevy premiered on this date in 1953. It lasted until May of 1963 on an irregular basis, primarily to promote the new line of cars coming out. Beatles released their first single, Love Me Do, in Britain on this date in 1962. And on this date in 1969, the first broadcast of Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Is this the right room for an argument?
I've told you once.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
When?
Just now.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
I did.
Didn't.
I'm telling you I did.
You did not.
Oh, I'm sorry, is this a 5-minute argument or the full half hour?
Oh, just the 5-minute one.
Fine. Thank you. Anyway, I did.
You most certainly did not.
Now, let's get one thing quite clear. I most definitely told you.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, this isn't an argument.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. It's just contradiction.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It is not.
It is. You just contradicted me.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you did.
No.
You did just then.
No, nonsense.
Oh, look, this is futile.
No, it isn't.
I came here for a good argument.
No, you didn't. You came here for an argument.
Well, an argument's not the same as contradiction.
Can be.
No, it can't. An argument's a connected series of statements to establish a definite proposition.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. It isn't just contradiction.
Look, if I argue with you, I must take up a contrary position.
But it isn't just saying no, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. Argument's an intellectual process. Contradiction is just the automatic gainsaying of anything the other person says.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Not at all.
No, look.
Thank you.
An excerpt of one of the classic sketches from Monty Python's Flying Circus, The Argument Clinic. John Cleese Graham Chapman there. 45 episodes of the program aired over 4 series from 1969 to 1974 and years in reruns in the U.S. over PBS, which became a television network on this date in 1970. I Honestly Love You first reached number 1 on the Billboard charts on this date in 1974, giving Olivia Newton-John her first top-selling U.S. single. In the vice presidential debates of 1988, Republican vice presidential nominee Dan Quayle, who'd been comparing himself to President Kennedy in stump speeches, said during the debate he had as much experience in Congress as JFK did when he sought the presidency. It was the moment that Senator Lloyd Bentsen had been waiting for.
I served with Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
Now, that much-talked-about line was not an offhanded remark as it appeared. In fact, the line had been practiced in a mock debate 3 days earlier. Angel premiering on the WB network in 1999, a spin-off of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Mass demonstrations in Belgrade led to the resignation of Serbian strongman Slobodan Milosevic. His demonstrations, often called the Bulldozer Revolution, back in 2000. In 2001, Tom Ridge resigned as governor of Pennsylvania to become President Bush's Homeland Security advisor. Defying the White House, the Senate voted 90-9 to approve an amendment that would prohibit the use of cruel, inhuman, or degrading punishment or treatment against anyone in U.S. government custody. Primarily, they're talking about waterboarding. Faiz Shahid, the Pakistani immigrant who tried to detonate a car bomb in Times Square, sentenced to life in prison on this date in 2010 by a federal judge in New York. Passing away on this date in history, singer-songwriter Eddie Kendricks, wrestler Brian Pillman, Rodney Dangerfield, who still gets no respect, and Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. Birthdays today include President Chester A. Arthur, President 21, also rocket scientist Robert Goddard, actor-comedian Larry Fine of the Three Stooges, fast food entrepreneur Ray Kroc, Mrs. Miller, the singer. I guess I should play her today, shouldn't I? Yeah, we'll do that. Also, Alan Ludden. Oh my gosh, he passed away in 1981. And it took, 81, 91, 01, 40 years for him to be reunited with his beloved Betty White. Alan Ludden, fine panelist, wonderful man. Bill Keane of the Family Circus, born on this date in history. Jose Jimenez, Bill Dana. I have a little bit from Bill Dana here for you to hear.
You've been selected to be the first man shot to Mars. Would you like to talk about that trip?
Not really.
Well, go ahead. That's going to be a long trip, of course, out of space, although it's many days long. Now, what do you plan to do to entertain yourself?
I plan to cry a lot. I could start now if you...
No. Now, tell me, Jose, when you return from Mars, where will you be landing?
I'm going to be landing in Nevada.
Ah, the state of Nevada.
The state of Nevada.
Well, then you obviously are convinced they're going to get you back to Earth.
I am convinced that they will get me back to Earth. Just how far into it? That's what I'm not convinced about.
But Jose, surely they must have provided something to break your fall.
Oh yes, the state of Nevada.
State of Nevada.
Bill Dana with his character Jose Jimenez. Bill Dana, born on this date in history. The man who sang about My Maria, B.W. Stevenson, born on this date. Jeff Conaway, best known for his role in Taxi, born on this date, and comedian Bernie Mac. The oldest living Academy Award nominee for the Sundowners in 1960, Glynis Johns, 99 years old today. From Animal House and Raiders of the Lost Ark, Karen Allen, 71. From the Boomtown Rats, one of the organizers of the original Live Aid, Bob Geldof, is 71. From Hellraiser and Candyman, Clive Barker is 70. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, 64, who, by the way, one of his things made me realize something. If you drink an hour after your meal, if you drink a full liter of ice-cold water and just drink it right down, you will lose weight because that causes your body to burn calories. It does. It works. It did. I need to start doing it again. Daniel Baldwin, 62 years old today. Melrose Place's Josie Bissett is 52. Kate Winslet, 47. The delightful Parminder Nagra. I saw her from Bend It Like Beckham, young, early in her career, also from ER, 47 years old today. And from Adventureland, Zombieland, and The Social Network, Jesse Eisenberg is 39. Those some of the people who celebrate the 5th day of October as their birthday. If this is your birthday, Mrs. Miller.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And from 68 years ago, October 5th, 1954, Jack Webb, Dragnet, here on this Wednesday Classic Radio Theater, here on your favorite radio station.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. No doubt. This is why so many people are joining Medishare right now. Medishare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. Medishare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. And Medishare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that's worked beautifully for 29 years. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Let's get rolling here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Wednesday. Go back 68 years, October 5th, 1954. Jack Webb, Dragnet, and the Big Handsome Bandit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. For a week, you've been on rolling stakeout looking for a gang of thieves. There's no sign of them. On the way back to the office, you get a 211 call. Your job? Investigate.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, October 9th. It was cool in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. We were on our way back to the office when a 211 robbery call came in, and it was 12:18 a.m. when we got to the corner of Oxford and Barton Avenue. The Moyles Bar and Grill.
The officer back there.
Something I can do for you?
Friday and Smith, Central Robbery.
Sorensen, Unit 6086.
Did you answer the call here?
Yeah, my partner and me. He's on the other side of the place.
What do you got?
A couple of guys and a woman shot. My partner's with them now.
Uh-huh.
One of them's one of the hold-up men.
Yeah. Did you get a description?
Yeah, just put it out.
All right.
Guy that owns the place is back there if you want to talk to him.
Yeah, we do. Did he witness the shooting?
Yeah. Mr. Moyle?
Yeah?
These men would like to talk to you. This is Sergeant Friday, Officer Smith.
How you do, sir?
How are you?
How you do?
Anything more you need me for, Sergeant?
No, that's all, thanks.
We'll check the vicinity, see if we can come up with anything for you.
Good. You guys will handle the crime report, will you?
Yeah.
Right. Frank, you want to check with the ambulance crew while I talk to Moyles here?
Yeah, sure.
You want to tell me what happened?
I just told the other officer about it. Isn't that enough?
Well, we'd like to get the story from you.
Do you mind if we go over and sit down? The whole thing's been a strain.
Surely. This all right here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, sir. You want to start?
First off, I'd like to ask you a question.
Well, what's that?
Do I look like a weakling to you?
Well, that's kind of hard to say, sir.
Not at all. Simple arithmetic. I'm 5'10", 185, never run from a fight in my life.
Uh-huh.
Work in a bar, you handle some pretty tough ones. Loudmouths, guys that are trying to make time with some girl. You meet them all.
Mm-hmm.
Never had trouble with any of the rough times. Stood up and was counted.
Yes, sir. If you could just tell us about the shooting.
Just what I'm getting to. First time in my life I wanted to dig a hole in the floor. Got to me.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I'm not a coward, but when them bullets started going around, I wanted out. O-U-T.
Yes, sir, I understand. Now, suppose you tell me what happened here.
Around 11:30, there were only a couple of people in the place. Young couple over here having coffee. And Elaine and George.
Who are they?
Two of the people who were shot. George Traber and Elaine Cronin. They're regulars.
I see.
They're sitting here having a beer. We're talking.
Uh-huh.
Almost every night Elaine comes in after work. She's a waitress. Nice girl, real sensible.
What about Traber?
He's a security guard at some kind of plant out in the valley. Aircraft, I think. Not sure about it.
All right, you want to go ahead?
We're all three talking when these two guys come in. First, I thought it was somebody for a belt.
Mm-hmm.
I know most of the people in the neighborhood. Never saw these two before.
Yes, sir.
Come in and order a drink. I gave it to them. And they paid.
Yeah.
Dirty trick.
Well, how do you mean that?
Gave me a $5. Drinks came to $1.20. Big guy picked up his change, left 80 on the bar. Figured it was a tip. Picked it up. Gonna drop it in the glass.
Yeah.
No sooner turn around, the little guy pulls a gun. Points it right at me.
Yeah.
Tells me it's a stick-up. Guy with him runs over to the door to cover it.
Mm-hmm.
Little man moves down the bar and tells George and Elaine to stay where they are. They won't get hurt. Then he turns around to me and says for me to empty the register. I did what he said.
Yes, sir. Now, the other man was by the door all this time, was he?
Yeah. Just standing there. I guess he wanted to check the other side of the place. 2 kids had left. Wasn't anybody there.
Mm-hmm.
All the time I was standing there hoping that nobody'd started anything.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah. What do you got?
Ambulance just left. Took all 3 of them in. Sorensen's were the suspect.
How they doing?
The other guy they found up front's not doing too good, hit in the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Other fella shot up pretty bad, but none of the wounds looked serious. Girl was hit in the right leg. Not too bad.
Anything else?
Well, near as I can figure, the guy who was shot in the stomach is one of the hold-up men.
Checks out with what I got from the owner. He say anything?
Attendant said they'd call us from the hospital as soon as we could talk to him.
We better get in touch with the officer down there and make sure there's somebody with him all the time.
Yeah, I got the 2 guns involved. 32 automatic, 38 police special.
All right.
Found the 32 in the suspect's hand.
Okay. You want to call the office, have somebody stay with the suspect? I better get back to the owner.
Right.
That other cop tell you anything?
No, sir, not much. Now, if you want to go ahead with your story.
I thought maybe you had some kind of clue or something to tell you who the other 2 were.
There were 3 of them?
Yeah. 2 in here. The other one was out in the car. Didn't come in at all.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the person driving the car?
Not good. I told the other cops about it. Could even tell if it was a man or not.
What do you mean?
Might have been a girl with one of those new short haircuts. I just got a glance when they drove off.
I see. You want to go on about what happened in the bar?
Well, after this one guy told me it was a holdup, I gave him the money. I didn't want any trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I put the currency on the bar, and the little fella stuffed it in his pockets. I thought they'd leave after that. Might have if I hadn't started to laugh.
How's that?
I started to laugh. I guess it was the tension and all, but when I opened the register, I looked right at the frame hanging over it. First dollar I took in.
Yeah.
This was my first holdup. I got to thinking about what I could hang up to show for it. Thought the only thing would be a frame full of nothing. It struck me real funny. Little fella got real sore, wanted to know what the big joke was.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell him. More he asked, funnier the whole thing got. That's when he started to look around to see if there was some kind of private joke.
Mm-hmm.
George and Elaine must have thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
Elaine tried to wave to me and tell me to be quiet. That's when the guy saw the watch she was wearing.
Well, what happened?
Told her to take it off. Got real nasty about it. Guess he was sore about me laughing.
Mm-hmm.
She did like he said. As soon as I saw that, I got mad. Real mad.
Yeah.
I thought about what I could do. I don't keep a gun in the place. All I could lay my hands on was a wet bar rag.
What was that?
A wet bar rag.
Oh, I see.
So I did what the guy told me. Put my hands on the bar right out in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
The little fella started to back out of the bar, and that's when George went into action.
Well, how do you mean that?
He's a security guard. You know, I told you that.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Well, he carries this gun. He pulled it out and reached around the lane and blasted at the hold-up man. Hit him right in the stomach. Guy kind of turned like he was going to run, then fell right on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Then the big guy, the one at the door, he aimed his gun and shot at George.
Was the girl still in front of him?
Not exactly. You see, when George shot at the one guy, he knocked Elaine down. Wasn't fast enough, though. First shot from the big one caught Elaine in the leg. Second one got George.
Well, what were you doing all this time?
I was still there with my hands on the bar. Whole thing happened so fast there wasn't anything I could do. Just stood there.
Uh-huh.
Right after that, the big guy ran out of the place. I jumped over the bar and went after him. Guess I forgot there wasn't any way I could stop him. Didn't think of that. Good thing I didn't catch him.
Yeah. You followed the man out on the street, did you?
Yeah. Saw him jump into the car and take off. That's when I saw the other person. You know the one who was driving.
Yes, sir. Did you get a good look at the car?
Saw it drive off.
I understand, but did you see the license plate?
Yeah. But not so I could tell you the number.
Was it a California plate?
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, now about the car itself. Can you tell me what kind it was?
Nash sedan. I think it might have been a 1953. Can't be sure about that, though. Might have been a new one.
What color, do you remember?
Near as I can remember, it was kind of light tan.
All right, sir. Can you give me a description of the big man, the one who stood at the door?
Well, I gave it to that other cop.
Well, yes, sir, but I'd like to go over it again with you if it's all right.
Sure. As long as it'll help you get the fellas.
All right, how old was he?
Oh, I'd say 20-something. Anywhere between 24 and 27.
Mm-hmm. How about his height?
Tall one, over 6 feet. Didn't come real close, except when he was sitting. I couldn't pin it down for you, but I'd say over 6 feet for sure.
All right, sir. About his weight?
180.
Dark or light?
Light. Had light hair and blue eyes. Hair was wavy. You could almost say the guy was too pretty, like some kind of advertisement, for hair oil or something.
Mm-hmm. What was he wearing?
Had on dark pants and coat. Wore a dark shirt and a white tie. Remember that, because you don't see that combination much nowadays. Back in the 30s, it was all a go.
Mm-hmm. You're sure about the shirt and tie?
Positive. Real contrast. Dark shirt and white tie.
All right. Was he clean shaven?
Yeah.
Talk to the business office, Joe. They're sending a team over to the hospital.
That's good.
Stop and talk to the men in 6L86. They checked the neighborhood. Didn't come up with anything.
Mm-hmm.
What about Elaine? Is she going to be all right?
Yes, sir. She's not hurt seriously.
Sure, glad of that. Felt bad about not doing anything to help her, but I'm the kind of guy when I cut my finger, I can't even put a bandage on it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Always been like that.
Yeah. What kind of gun did the man at the door have, do you remember?
Looked like a .45 automatic.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Descriptions check out.
Yeah. Type of guns are the same, too.
You know these men?
Well, we've got an idea who they are, yes, sir. We've been after them for some time now.
Sure wish I could have given you more. This is all over in a few minutes.
Well, you've helped us quite a bit already, Mr. Moyle.
At the time, it seemed longer than a Monday when there's been too much Sunday.
Yeah.
These guys done this kind of thing before?
Well, we think so. They've been hitting theaters. This is the first time they've hit a cafe.
Hope it's going to be the last. Way they put the bee on George and Elaine, like to see you get 'em.
Well, we're going to try.
If you do, could you do me a favor?
What's that?
Well, I kind of goofed it up when they were here before. I'd like another chance at the big guy when he hasn't got his gun.
Well, I'm afraid we can't do that, Moyle. It's a police business.
Why not? He's bigger than me.
Yes, sir.
Be a fair fight, wouldn't it?
Oh, I know more than one victim that would have wanted to do that. October 5th, 1954, Dragnet on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning in. We'll have the news from 68 years ago today coming up in just a moment. But first, these important words from your favorite station. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater here on your favorite station. We're listening to an episode of Dragnet as it was originally broadcast Tuesday, October 5th, 1954. In the newspapers of that Tuesday, some 68 years ago today, these were some of the headlines. The first sign of trouble in the nation's capital over mixing the races in schools developed yesterday with hundreds of white students demonstrating at 2 Washington, D.C. high schools. Demonstrations against integration spread in Baltimore, where 2 bands of marching students numbered several hundred paraded through the streets. At least 9 Baltimore schools reported demonstrations as class started. In Washington, some 400 of the 1,250 students enrolled at Anacostia High gathered across the street from the school and jeered their principal's pleas that they return to classes. The demonstrators booed 43 Negro students as they entered the building. One striking student said admittance of 20 additional Negroes to Anacostia Friday caused the demonstration. A similar demonstration staged at McKinley High in Washington by about 150 boys and girls, but they were persuaded to transfer their protest meeting to a classroom. The meeting broke up in confusion. Several students criticized admittance of Negroes to McKinley, with one girl declaring she was afraid to walk down the hall. They walk right up behind me and say things I wouldn't repeat. A majority of the students, however, appeared to favor a suggestion by Anthony Green, one of the school's football players, that a committee be named to handle the situation. But dozens of students walked out when another student suggested that the pupils go home and stay out at least a week if they want the rest to follow you. Marilyn Monroe revealed yesterday she will file suit to divorce baseball great Joe DiMaggio, and her attorney reluctantly agreed. Joe has struck out. The world-famous blonde telephoned her studio to announce she and the former New York Yankee star had agreed on a friendly divorce because our careers just seemed to get in the way of each other. Britain and France yesterday hailed the new Russian proposals on atomic control as a step forward, but emphasized they want to know exactly how far Moscow has gone toward agreement with the West. Selwyn Lloyd, the British Minister of State, gave the first Western answer to the atomic resolution introduced by Russia's Andrei Y. Vyazhinsky last Thursday. His stand was quickly endorsed by the chief French delegate. Lloyd told the UN Assembly the Vyazhinsky plan is an apparent move toward proposals laid down by Britain and France in secret UN disarmament talks in London last July 11th. President Eisenhower saluting the German rearmament agreement yesterday in Denver as possibly one of the greatest diplomatic achievements in our time. He cited its potential for promoting security, prosperity, and peace in Europe and the rest of the world. Secretary of Defense Wilson declared yesterday the number of security risks under investigation or already ousted from the nation's 4 million man military setup is happily quite small in percentages. Wilson's statement at a news conference after a meeting with President Eisenhower came against the background of the hot controversy over Vice President Nixon's recent assertion that the administration is kicking the communists and the fellow travelers and the security risks out of the government, not by the hundreds, but by the thousands. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Tuesday, October 5th, 1954, on your radio Dragnet, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
For the past 6 weeks, on Tuesday and Thursday nights, 3 people had been hitting theaters in the central Hollywood area. Descriptions obtained from the victims were the same in each case. Rolling stakeouts had been set up without result. Runs by the stats office had been checked out, and we were still no nearer to our suspects. In each case, the method of operation was the same. 2 men would enter a theater box office and rob the cashier of all currency, and then leave in a car driven by a third person. We'd been unable to establish whether the person in the car was male or female. None of the victims had been able to give us a good description. However, in all of the holdups, the car the suspects used was the same. The robbery of the cafe and the shooting of the 2 witnesses gave us our first concrete lead to the identity of the suspects. The description of the smaller man matched the one we'd gotten in the theater jobs. From what the bar owner told us, it was more than possible that he was one of the bandits that we'd been looking for. We recovered the ejected shell casings and the spent bullets. They were booked as evidence. At 1:56 a.m., Frank and I left Moyle's Bar and Grill and drove over to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. We talked to Dr. Hall. He told us that the 2 victims were receiving treatment and would recover. From personal effects, the suspect was identified as Carl Layden. We called the business office and made arrangements for his home to be checked. Dr. Hall told us that the man was in serious condition, but that we might be able to question him. We went into the treatment room. Layden was under heavy drugs.
Layden? Layden?
Yeah?
These men want to talk to you.
Well, tell them to go away. I don't want to talk to anybody. Tell them.
Layden, we want to ask you about tonight.
You cop?
That's right.
You tell me something.
What's that?
How bad is it?
They're doing what they can. You lost a lot of blood.
Am I going to make it?
We don't know.
Hmm?
Now, who are the other 2, Layden?
I don't know.
They left you alone. You don't owe them anything. Now, who are they?
Come on, Layden. How about the one in the car? What's the name?
They walked out on me, didn't they?
That's right. Now, what are the names?
How about it, Layden?
Oh, Norberg. He's one of them.
Norberg?
Yeah, Sam Norberg.
Has he done any big time?
I don't think so.
Which one is he, Layden? The one in the bar?
The driver.
How about the blonde? What's his name? Layden?
Wait a minute, Joe. You're going to have to stop. No more questions. He's too weak.
All right. We'll be outside, Doctor.
I'll be right with you.
Right.
What do you think?
I don't know. It's a good lead.
Yeah. You got a name. Let's find who wears it, huh?
Better run it through, I guess. Try to come up with an address.
Let's hope he's not the kind of guy who changes it 3-4 times a year.
Well, if he is, we can help him.
Yeah.
We'll give him a new one. "2:30 a.m. Frank and I went back to the office. We contacted the team who'd checked Carl Layden's apartment. They told us they'd found nothing to help us in apprehending the other 2 suspects. A stakeout was set up on the place. We ran the name Sam Norberg through R&I, but we failed to turn a record on anyone answering his description. Frank checked the phone book and the city directory. We came up with 2 possibles. We asked Sergeant Bud Young and Officer Serrani from the business office to help us. 2:47 a.m. We got to the first address, 713 Larchmont Boulevard. It was a small bungalow. A tan 1953 Nash was parked in the driveway. The doors were locked and the radiator was still warm. While Young and Sirianni covered the rear of the house, Frank and I went up to the front door.
The car makes it look good.
Yeah, you want to get the door?
Probably asleep.
Yeah. There's somebody coming now.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Sam Norberg,
What do you want?
we want to talk to you. Police officers.
Guys know what time it is?
All right, move over. Right now.
Get this over fast. I got to get some sleep. I can't stay up half the night answering
All right,
questions.
stand still.
He's clean.
It must be really important to come around this late.
It is.
Anybody else in the house?
No, I got enough trouble trying to feed myself.
Well, you won't mind if we look around?
Make a difference if I did?
No, not much.
I figured that. Go ahead.
Check out back. Tell them it's okay.
Yeah.
Got the place surrounded? What do you expect to find? The Purple Gang?
I wonder if you're as good with the answers as you are at the questions.
Look, you might think I'm a foul ball, but I don't know what you're after. I'll have to hand you this.
Yeah.
You guys must have me mixed up with somebody else.
You're Sam Norberg, aren't you?
Yeah?
Well, then we didn't knock on the wrong door.
Okay, Joe. Place checks out clean.
Did you talk to Young and Sirianni?
Yeah, they'll wait for us. I told them this one looked good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to rush you, fellas, but you want to tell me what this is all about?
That's your car out in the driveway?
Yeah, why?
You got the keys then, huh?
On the table there.
All right. You want to get dressed?
What for? I'm not going anyplace.
You keep believing that, but get your clothes on.
I got a coat in the closet.
Point it out. We'll get it.
There's only one there.
Right here. Now let's go. These the keys?
You see any more? I don't know what this is all about. When you find out you made a mistake, don't apologize. Just go away so I get me some sleep.
Yeah, sure. You stand right there.
That badge makes you a big man, doesn't it?
You better keep your mouth closed. You're going to find you're in the wrong league here, mister.
I'll check the registration.
There's no reason to do that. I own the car.
How about it?
It's got his name on it.
Well, who's it you think you'd find? You come up with anything, I'll split with you.
Anything else?
Wait a minute. Take a look.
Norberg, you know a Carl Layden?
Never heard of him.
You sure about that?
I told you.
And this is your car.
Well, you know that.
Well, then maybe you can explain this.
What?
This driver's license.
What about it?
Belongs to Carl Layden.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
October 5th, 1954, Dragnet on this Wednesday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thursday's Classic Radio Theater satire from Stan Freberg, an episode of his short-run show from 1957, The Gray Flannel Hat Full of Teenage Werewolves, a story about a werewolf who changes into a horrible monster in the daylight, an advertising executive. That's on Thursday's Classic Radio Theater, but right now let's wrap up this Wednesday edition of Dragnet from 68 years ago, October 5th, 1954.
We made a thorough search of Sam Norberg's house, but we failed to turn up anything more to tie him in with the robberies. He was taken downtown to the city hall for questioning. 4:30 a.m.
Where'd you first meet Layden?
I don't even know.
Well, then you can tell us how his driver's license turned up in your car, can't you?
No, I can't tell you.
You said it was your car.
Yeah?
It was locked when we found it.
That's pretty smart figuring.
Well, I hope you're going to do some now.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know how long you think you're going to be able to keep this up. We got you nailed and you know it. Now, why don't you tell us what we want to know and we can all go home and get some sleep?
I sure like to help you, but I don't even know what you're talking about.
Layden says he knows you.
When'd he say that?
Tonight. Said you drove the car for him and the other guy.
Where'd you see him?
Layden?
Yeah.
Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. He's unhappy with you boys. Figures you ran out on him. Willing to fill us in on the whole deal.
With him on our side and the witnesses to the robbery tonight, you're in real trouble, Norbert.
This on the level?
Right down the line.
I heard Layden didn't make it.
You heard wrong.
You want us to put in a call so you can talk to him?
It's a lousy deal. Clint told me he was dead.
Clint's the blonde fella, isn't he?
Yeah, Clint Purnell. Told me all about how Layden didn't make it to the door of the place. Said he went right out.
Well, that's not right.
I'll check R&I.
Okay.
That lousy Clint.
You know where he is?
No, if I did, I'd give it to you.
When'd you see him last?
Tonight, I dropped him off downtown.
Where?
5th and Spring. Said he had a big day.
Uh-huh.
Should have known not to trust Clint. Yeah. Hey, you got a cigarette?
Here.
Thanks.
Help yourself. How long you known Purnell?
I don't know. A couple of months.
Where'd you meet him?
A bar out on 1st Street. Layden and me used to go there all the time.
Uh-huh.
Lane and me have been good friends for a long time. We never been in trouble before we met Clint.
Purnell set up the deal?
Yeah. He started to talk to us about we could pick up some easy money. He laid out the whole idea. Lane and me told him we'd never been hung up in anything like it before.
Mm-hmm.
He said he knew enough for all of us. Clint's a pretty good talker. Guess it don't make a lot of difference, so we could have said no.
Where's Purnell live?
At a place out on Venice Boulevard.
You got an address?
No, but I can show you where it is.
How'd you do?
I don't think we got it. Take a look at these. This the Clint Purnell you're talking about?
Yeah, that's him. He's older than that now.
Mm-hmm.
He's better looking in person than he is in that picture.
Well, he probably had an off day.
Well, his clothes make him look different, too, the dark shirts.
He always wear them, does he?
Yeah, I never saw him anything else. He asked me one day why I always wore a white shirt. Said it was square.
Mm-hmm.
Asked me how long I could wear a white shirt. I told him one day.
Yeah.
He says I'm crazy. Big deal about how he can wear a dark shirt 3 or 4 days and the dirt don't show on the collar.
Yeah.
Thinks people don't know the difference. They can tell.
How many theater jobs did you go on?
5.
How come you switched to cafes?
That was Clint's idea. Said you might have the show staked out.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we did, he planned it. We asked about something, he said not to worry about it. He had it all figured.
Yeah.
Oh, we said he was as smart as any cop. Kept telling us you made mistakes.
We do.
Well, that's what he said.
He should have told you the rest of it.
What do you mean?
We can make them more than once. We took Sam Norberg down to the carpool and we drove him out on Venice Boulevard. He pointed out the rooming house where Clint Purnell lived. While I waited with Norberg, Frank went up to check with the manager. In a couple of minutes, he came back.
Well, looks like we missed it.
What do you mean?
Manager says Purnell was here about 2:30.
Yeah.
Packed his bags and left.
Frank and I, along with the suspect, went up and looked over the room. Apparently, Purnell had left in a hurry. We talked to the manager, but he was unable to tell us where the suspect had gone. He did tell us that Purnell had driven up to the place in a car and, after packing his belongings, had left. The manager went on to say that he knew the suspect didn't own an automobile himself and that he'd gotten the license number of the car in the event that there might be any trouble. We called the Department of Motor Vehicles and we found that the car was registered to a Mrs. Robert Sherburne, 297 Colorado Boulevard. Frank and I went back to the main jail and booked Sam Norberg in on suspicion of robbery. After that, we drove out to talk to the Sherburne woman. The address was a riding academy in Griffith Park. We left the car down the street and walked onto the grounds.
Wonder what the pitch is. Purnell driving a car registered to a Mrs. Sherburne.
I don't know.
Guess this is the office, huh?
That's what the sign says.
That's the beat. I'm having trouble seeing the building, let alone the sign.
I don't know.
It's kind of early. Maybe no one's up.
There's got to be somebody around. Let's try it again.
Yeah.
Yes?
Miss Sherburne?
That's right.
Police officers. This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
What's wrong?
How do you do, ma'am? We'd like to ask you a couple of questions about
It's Robert,
your car.
isn't it? Something's happened to Robert.
No, ma'am.
You don't have to lie to me. I know that's it. Robert smashed up the car and he's been hurt.
No, ma'am, that's not it. You know a man named Clint Purnell?
It's not about my husband?
No.
Oh, that's a relief. He left for Bakersfield this morning, and I thought there'd been an accident. I was scared. Like when you're baking a cake and somebody slams the door, you have to check the oven, but you're afraid to look and you're afraid not to. you know how that is.
Yes, ma'am. Now, about Clint Purnell, do you know him?
Yes, I do. He's my stepbrother. Is that why you're here?
What's that?
Is Clint in trouble again?
We'd like to talk to him.
I guess I should have known it. Clint never comes around unless he's in trouble.
You seen him then?
Yes, he came by last night. Said he wanted to borrow the station wagon to pick up his stuff. He said he was going back east because he couldn't make a go of it here on the coast.
Do you know where he is now?
Yes. He's back in the tack room. Said he didn't have any place to sleep, and I'd let him use the cot in there.
All right.
What kind of trouble's he in this time?
Be better if we talk to him.
Well, whatever it is, I'm not going to stand behind him. He promised me. He promised Robert. If he's running again, he isn't going to get any help from us.
All right, where's this tack room?
Back there. It's the second door.
Thank you.
I hope there isn't going to be any trouble.
Well, if there is, he'll have to start it. Want to try the door?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
What are you doing?
All right, Purnell, come on, get up.
What are you doing in here?
Hey.
Well, you got no right to come in here like this.
Get your hands around here.
I'll shake.
All right.
Stand still. He's clean, Joe.
You want to check the bed?
Yeah.
You guys got a lot of nerve busting in here like this. No reason for it.
Yeah, sure.
45 automatic under his pillow.
Big deal. So you found a gun. What's that prove? You carry him, too.
Yeah, but there's a big difference, mister.
Is that right?
Yeah, we get paid for it.
The story you've just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 20th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Samuel Garland Norberg, Carl Franklin Layton, and Clinton Ward Purnell were tried and convicted of robbery in the first degree, 5 counts, and assault with intent to commit murder, 1 count. They received sentence as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years. Assault with intent to commit murder is punishable by imprisonment for a period of from 1 to 14 years.
Today, you're needed for the defense of your country. Teenagers, men and women of all ages, sign up for the Silver Wings of the Ground Observer Corps. Be the eyes that guard the blind spots in our aerial defenses. Contact your nearest Civil Defense Center for full information.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Ben Morris, Herb Ellis, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson, Earl Schley. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
October 5th, 1954, Dragnet on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for spending part of your Wednesday with us. Would you do me a favor and thank this station and support their advertisers? It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we're here on a Wednesday on your favorite station. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available through our webpage at classicradio.stream. That is classicradio.stream. Stream our shows on demand. Learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there. You can find social media links. And you can even buy me a copy. And I want to thank the folks that have bought us copies. That, by the way, that has nothing to do with coffee. What we do with that money is we put it toward adding additional classic radio collections here for you to have here on Classic Radio Theater, classicradio.stream. Tell your friends great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.